and Pleasure Island, talk a little bit about the history, some memories that you might have if you're in, I guess, like on Facebook or whatever channel you might be watching us from. Tell us a story about it, and we can read that story on the air too. There's got to be memories you have of Pleasure Island and the nightclubs. We also have a Twitter poll. And I think, you know what? I think we're going to be live on YouTube any second here.
Here we go.
And I just
fantastic.
Did you? Yeah,
there
we just
go.
okay.
Hey.
Looks like we're good.
Hey.
Welcome.
You start over now.
Start over. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, nice haircut, Chris. What do you got going on there?
Hey, look at that. Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
So for people that, no kidding. Everyone's just seeing us for the first time right here, right now. We have a poll going on Twitter, and usually we wrap these polls up 10-20 minutes after the live show, but this one I wanted to leave on for 24 hours because this one is pretty big. This one is, if you were in the area, or if you are in the area of Disney Springs on Wednesday this week when it partially reopens, would you go? Yes or no? It has been close all day, and that the poll is on Twitter.
Yes.
At Cosmic Reid. Yeah, so right now, with over 1,200 votes, we're looking at 54% say no and 46% say yes. So it's split. We'll get into that poll, but if you haven't been yeah, and I've seen it go flip-flop a little bit. You guys were watching it earlier in the day too. It was like 49-51, then it was 51-49, flipping. So it's crazy. I'm surprised how close it is, just given everything. But we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So go vote. That's on Twitter at Cosmic Reid. Downtown Disney. Where to even begin with this? Because there's been so many shops come and go throughout the years, and the evolution to Disney Springs started, I think it was 2012 or 2013. It was going to be the Hyperion Wharf. Do you remember that there was even sketches of the Hyperion Wharf but
and
that never really.
It was a work in progress. They still kept the old branding, so it's kind of funny. I remember Disney Springs kind of came out of nowhere, because I'm totally with you on the Hyperion Wharf thing. Yeah, you're right. So that's where it was going to go. Then it became Disney Springs. But we were going to kind of go around table, talk a little bit about downtown Disney and some of the stuff that was there. And I think my biggest memory of downtown Disney as it was with my parents, and it was the New Year's Eve every single night, and it was at midnight. Oh, do you
remember that? Yeah. Oh, did I?
Yes.
Yeah, they did. There has to be other people as well in the chat or wherever you might be watching it from, on whatever platform tonight. It was New Year's Eve every single night. They did the countdown, and they had bands. When we were there, it wasn't Smash Mouth. It was someone that in the 90s was pretty big.
Was it? So this is the thing. Was it that band Lit, dude? Because then they had a cover band, and they would play that Lit song. I actually wrote it down. I don't even know what the name of it was. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
I do know what you're talking about. It's My Own Worst Enemy. Is that what it's called?
Thank you. Wow. Okay.
It is?
Right. I feel like, yes. Yeah. I'm really impressed with that. I feel like we could have been on American Idol last night in the season finale. But anyways, go on.
Yeah. So that is what it was called. And it was such a party on the street, and that stage was at the end. Was it like Third Eye Blind or something might have been there when we were there? I'm thinking it was Third Eye Blind.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's. Becca. Do I have to just hum every song? But go ahead.
They don't even need a soundtrack. They'll just have you do it, Jeff.
That's just it. Yeah, and it was
party,
quite a bit
man.
of. Yeah, it was a party every single night. Everyone was having a good time. They played it up like it was New Year's, and I loved that. I thought it was so much fun, and that's one thing that I do miss right now. I wish they still had that, and I mean, given whatever's going to happen now, something like that might not be possible. But it was just such a good time, and I'm glad they did it right till basically the end of Downtown Disney when they started to do the changeover.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one definitely hung on for a little while because the clubs closed, and I mean, I'm a lunatic with pyro, which is why I was so sad when Illuminations left, because I still think nothing beats their pyro show. But they had midnight fireworks every night, and it really was like you just said, man. It was like a fun little celebration. If you were like feeling a little down, or dare I say, a case of the Mondays, that's just kind of a fun way to kind of have a New Year's Eve party, especially if you weren't 21, because I mean, it wasn't like they were encouraging babies and strollers there, but I don't think you had to be 21 to be there.
And
No,
did it ever get boring? If you were there all the time, like that the same fireworks show was happening every night and it was like New Year's. I'm just asking because I never got to experience it, and I was thinking, would that get,
interesting.
It's New Year's every night. It's supposed to be special, but if you're there for multiple nights in a row, you know what I mean?
It's interesting you say that. I would love to hear what people in the chat think, because we were talking a little bit about how Disneyland, I feel like this is common knowledge. I mean, kind of treats themselves as more of a park for the natives, right? A little bit. I mean, obviously it's Disneyland.
Yeah,
and
it was to compete originally with all the clubs.
Yes. Yeah. So, but when you're talking about the same fireworks show or like a party like that, I think it would be more like, our producer, Jason, if you will, who would go every year with his family. So I feel like if you saw it every night,
it was like a tradition.
Definitely that. Yeah. My worst enemy, if you heard that by Lit every night, you probably would be, maybe stabbing your eardrums out. But,
yeah,
a couple times a year, it's still kind of like a fun party, and I always just remember kind of turning left and right, and it was like, it was kind of like a fun thing, because chances are you're not going to ring in the new year with these random strangers all the time. But
I mean, I guess it would be similar to the other fireworks shows and things like that. You would just get used to it after a while. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I wish that they would do it again.
Right. Yeah, it was quite the party. And I know some people are saying after a certain time it was age restricted. But there were a couple of clubs that you could go in and you could go in as a kid with your parents. You had to be with your parents or guardian or something like that, right? So Adventurers Club, we were talking off the air, and we definitely did that once, and that was a really, really cool experience. And it just, because it was such a good show that they did there. So it was nice that they allowed the family to experience something like that.
I guess they kind of had to do that. And I mean, both of you guys are kind of into the arts, and I mean, Angelina, I kind of wish you could have experienced this Adventurers Club, because it was, it was interactive. It was like, I mean, it was improv, right? Like these cast members or whatever they called themselves at the time, I mean, they're improving with you. And so that actually didn't really get, repetition, because it was something new every time. And it was just like, they were trying to, it's kind of like what every Disney attraction strives to do, which is kind of take a baseline and take it to the next level, right? That's what I love about their cues. And they were attempting to level up, I think, the nightclub experience. You know what I mean? I guess it's a little off brand, and I think that's probably why it went by the wayside. But it's funny the way these things, Chris, keep coming back, right? Like I didn't even realize that this place was 1975, really, right? And you've got these nightclubs, and it kind of keeps rebranding. Yeah. It's like when they announced Dumbo at Magic Kingdom, we're like, how many times are we going to try this circus thing, right? And it's just the way they are reinventing themselves or trying something. But
and you think of clubs nowadays, say in just in any city. I know in our city, a lot of them have gone. There's not as half as many as there were even 10 years ago now, and they, if they are around, all but a couple have switched their name like 3 or 4 times. Like they just keep reinventing, but right? Exactly. Like it's the same thing with a different name, but maybe something a little bit different, but really their goal and what they do is the exact same. And that's kind of what Downtown Disney did. And it used to be the Village, I think, was the original name. And then it evolved through the years up to where it is now with Disney Springs. But it just has a different feel now that the clubs of Pleasure Island are completely gone and renovated and totally something different.
I love that people are even saying their own things. Man, Angelina, I wish we could just send you back in time like one day. I mean, there's all these things that I didn't get to experience when I was younger as well, you know, like when they first opened. But Pleasure Island was just such a weird sort of almost disconnect with Disney that I love. They tried it, but Pat Mc75's talking about 8-track. So that was kind of like the older
Yes.
disco kind of place, man. So it was like they had something for everybody, or they were trying.
Like
anyways. They had like a like they had a line dancing place for, you know, cowboys. It might have even been called that or something like that. I don't know. And then, like you said, mannequins. They had.
My name is Stitch. Bringing up a memory of the Adventurers Club in the YouTube chats here, said they would send people out of the Adventurers Club to watch the festivities outside, but if you hung out inside, you could usually get into a good conversation with the Adventurers Club cast. Yeah, they were so funny, so witty, and you know, and I know WDW News Today has partnered with them and done events with some of the former performers of the Adventurers Club. I wish I lived closer because I would love to be able to go down and see some of those. They were fantastic, and the other clubs that
So
stand
talented.
out, honestly, they were great. The Mannequins Dance Palace. Do you remember going to Jeff in the elevator? You walk in the building, you go in the elevator, then you go up, and there's all those mannequins around. And then the big attraction was the revolving dance floor, the rotating dance floor. Which
Wow,
You were
that's
not-
cool. That's different.
yeah,
It's very different.
it was.
Yeah, I mean, it was like state of the art stuff too, man.
Maybe a little dangerous too, but I mean that sounds fun.
Probably. You know, it depends on what time of the night it is, but yeah, it's near closing time. Yeah, it's probably pretty dangerous. And the fog cannons, like there's fog machines, right, that we've all seen. Do you remember the fog cannons? They were just massive, and they would blow the craziest amount of, more so like steam, not fog that would like linger like you'd have on a stage, but it would just blast this steam fog down all over the club. It was insane. It was so much fun. And I want people in the chat to mention their clubs as well, what clubs they liked. Mandy said, I was more into Motion. I had a night at Motion.
Good job,
Yeah.
Mandy also said, sober or not, that dance floor was a challenge. Which I think is line of the night already.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's Motion. I went there so I was with my mom on this trip in 2007, and she was tired from the day, didn't want to go to the clubs. I was like, well, I'll go myself. Again, you can take all the Disney transportation there, so it was great. So I went on my own, bought a one club pass, and wanted to go to a club I hadn't been to before. I thought, well, Motion, I hadn't been there. So we go in, and it was pretty much just an empty, like a bare room. At the back was a DJ, and on the two sides, I think, had bars, and everyone's kind of like dancing in the middle. I'm kind of like I'm not one to like dance by myself here, so I'll go hang out at the bar. And I did, and I ended up talking to this bartender, and she was from Quebec, so up here in Canada as well. So we had like stuff to talk about that was common. I remember the drink prices being, she was giving me double rum and cokes for $5 US.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it was
mom
apparently,
wasn't around.
I know. Yeah. Well, for $5 for a double. So it was like cast member night or something, and I don't know if it was only supposed to be cast members. Yeah. So, and I remember the DJ being like, all right, if you're a cast member, make a noise. And like everyone in the place made a noise except me. And I was like, uh-oh, like, should I even be in here? Like,
that was the tell, dude. That was the tell.
Yeah. So yeah, double rum and cokes. Yeah. The AB in the chat, double rum and cokes. Yeah. No kidding. That was actually, Motion is where I got my love of rum. Of dark rum from going to that night at Motion. And then
I remember that place.
All I remember on the way back, because I guess eventually I'm like, well, I need to get back, and I've had many of these rum and cokes now. And so I'm walking down a pretty empty, probably weekday night of downtown Disney, and they had that radio booth. You remember there's like a DJ up in they'd have a DJ in a booth playing music. I forget what it was called. But they were playing Michael Jackson Bad. That's all I really remember.
miraculously, I got on the right bus. Of all of the buses, I managed to find the Pop Century bus. And then I looked at my camera the next day to be like, did I take any pictures last night? I couldn't remember. With my big camera, like that, it wasn't like a phone where you can see yourself, where you're trying to like guess at taking selfies. I tried to take probably 50 or 60 selfies every like 5 feet or something. And you got like half my head, you got like the top of my head, you got my shirt. I went to all the pools at Pop Century and was like taking pictures outside the pools. I got a big picture with Baloo, the big Baloo statue in the 60s. Yeah. I was like, I did a whole photo shoot myself.
There's like a wanted poster of you in Disney security somewhere. I can assure you of that.
And this is why Pleasure Island isn't around anymore.
Yes, yeah. That is exactly. And
your fault.
Ladies and gentlemen, chat and on Facebook and Twitter, Cosmic Reid is the reason, in a nutshell, Pleasure Island had closed in 2008.
Why motion? Disney fan 58444 said, "Oh yeah, but where has the rum gone?" Yeah, Jack Sparrow. No kidding. Good, awesome quote. And I mean, they're probably asking that too. That motion, and where did the rum go? Oh, it was that Canadian guy. But yeah, motion. That was a mega memory.
If you want to talk about like dangerous of the nightclubs, though, that I thought would be a really fun time is the roller skating one. I didn't get to go, but that one I think was the first one that closed because they realized that people drinking and roller skating may not be a good idea. But I thought that would have been a great time. I don't know what it was called, but that looked like fun.
Was it changed law firms after that? Because that is definitely a lawsuit waiting to happen. Yes. And then Brian in the chat room actually mentioned even Comedy Warehouse. So that was if you didn't really want to. So I started DJing because I, like you, Chris, was not going to just be out there. And I mean, maybe after like as many double rum and cokes you had, maybe that's a whole different world. But I would DJ so that I could watch the dancing versus participating in the dancing. So I applaud any of you out there. But if that wasn't your thing, man, they had the Comedy Warehouse or the Adventures Club. So like we were saying, I think there was something for everyone. And it seems like everyone in the room that had the opportunity to go kind of had their own little hood. I think it's fun. It's fun to remember those.
David in the chat, and this is a very inside with WDW News today. I said call Gonandola. That's the law firm with that's advertised here on WDW News tonight. Call Gonandola. Yeah, actually, so I'm the guy that does the whole like, have you been in an accident? Call Gonandola or whatever.
Well, if you went to Angelina's roller derby bar, that would be you'd be calling them
on Thursday night. That's just it. Percent you would, yeah. Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comedy Warehouse. Mandy says, "Welcome to our club. Please sign our waiver." Yeah, I bet you they didn't have waivers for that. It was just like probably just yeah.
So they had to go grow up, man. They had to grow up and close all those places down, and now it's an outside mall. I mean, it is crazy. Again, I know we're going to move on to like the Disney Springs thing, but like when you go down, does it ever blow your mind how long the line for buses at your resort hotel is for Disney Springs starting at 5 o'clock? Because that's just kind of like where everybody goes to eat. I mean, it's amazing how many people are just waiting in line, whereas I'm like trying to, get on a couple more attractions. But I mean, they seem to have figured it out, super popular.
Yeah, and like there's so many options down there too. I think a lot of people go down there for dinner or for drinks. On a Friday or Saturday night, it's like forget it because it's packed there. And we'll talk more about Disney Springs in the second half of this show, especially given they're reopening a part of it as of this Wednesday. And again, there was that poll as well that you can vote on Twitter, which is at Cosmic Reid. Would you go to Disney Springs when it reopens? Yes or no? And that's on the 18th, or sorry, on the 20th. Today's the 18th. On the 20th, this Wednesday, which is just crazy. Was it the name of the roller club? I'm just trying to remember. Like I never went to it, Was
I
it?
never
It
went
wasn't
to
Rock and Roll Beach Club. Was it Rock and Roll Beach Club? I don't.
It might have been.
Anyone in the chat might know this. Yeah, Elizabeth V. Interesting. She says it will always be Downtown Disney to me. It took me. It took me a good couple years to start calling it Disney Springs.
Yeah.
And now when I go to Disneyland, I call it Disney Springs, and it's Downtown Disney. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh yeah, it is still
Chat
Downtown
seems
Disney
to be
there.
saying. Stitch is saying it was, Rock and Roll Beach Club. Yeah, no kidding. That's
Rock and
what
Roll
I.
Beach Club. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they might have. I think that place might have actually stayed open because I believe I remember having very strong drinks. I was amazed because usually you think you're going to go to Disney World and you're not going to get very strong drinks, just because.
Mm-hmm.
But those places definitely served some pretty strong drinks. I think that they definitely did not have roller skating even at the end. Because I never saw that.
No.
I've been to that place. Yeah. So I think they were like,
It closed very quickly.
No doubt. Yeah. If anyone was is in the chat, and if you're in the chat and you did do the roller skating thing, let us know because I want to know how that was.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Just crazy that was even a thing. Yeah. Just bananas. Well, we're going to take a break in just a couple of minutes here for about a minute or so. But I on the other side, I do want to touch on Disney Quest, which was something some people loved it or hated it. Or Disney Quest. Yeah, Disney Quest. Lots of good memories in that one. Lots of good times in that one. And there was a second Disney Quest. I want to say it was like in New York or something, but very, very short-lived, I believe, compared to the one in Florida.
I think it was a Times Square thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very, very short-lived. But just before we take our break for the hour here, just want to remind people, if you are wanting to get involved with WDW News Today, you can join the WIGS program, which is WDW Inner Globe Society. For as little as $2 a month, you get access to exclusive content from News Today. You get extended shows and like after shows as well when we do these live shows, which is really, really cool. So again, it's as little as $2 a month. You can go to patreon.com/WDWNT to check out the WIGs. We shout out to all the WIGs listening right now. There we go in the chat. We got Michael, I see you. Yeah, no kidding. This is good stuff. And I think was it David earlier, Mandy as well. Awesome to have you there for sure. Drew, awesome. Michael, another Michael. There we go. Yeah, there's all the WIGs. No kidding. So
freaking roll call. I like the roll call.
Yeah, like it too. Yeah.
Roll call.
And then, of course, if you like what you're seeing tonight or any day on WDW News Today, you can always donate via the Super Chat, which is the little $sign on YouTube. If you're in the YouTube chat, just click the $sign, and any donation would be helpful. Keeps WDW News Today alive and running, and giving you all the content that we've been doing on a daily basis, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be through stories and social media and all the stuff that we give you, and including on WDWNT, the radio station, which we're also broadcasting on this evening. With that being said, on the other side, we'll talk a little bit about Disney Quest and some of our memories there, get into Disney Springs, and get into this poll. If you haven't voted yet, check it out at Cosmic Reid. When Disney Springs partially reopens this Wednesday, will you go, yes or no? The poll is on Twitter at Cosmic Reid. We'll take a break and come right back in a moment for more Cosmic Reid Live.
Of me going, what in heaven's name is going on here?
And we're off and running, and Tony needs someone to
lay it out for them. And there's no architect available. So the next thing I know, I'm laying out the pavilion.
I got to tell you, I have not enjoyed a podcast so much. It's just a warm conversation, and warm and intelligent conversation, which you don't find that often in podcasts.
Dreamfinders. Episodes drop every other Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher.
Four panelists, 30 minutes, 1 week in Disney Parks news. This is Parks Center. On Parks Center, the panel and I cover the top 7 Disney Park stories of the past week. From attraction news to transportation scandals to new food and merchandise, we'll cover it all in 30 minutes or less. You can watch us stream live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. at WDWNtunes.com, watch episodes on demand at youtube.com/WDWNT, or subscribe to the audio version of the show on your favorite podcast app.
Pressing Issues is the spin-off of the WDW News Today podcast segment as a long-form panel discussion in which some of the brightest minds of WDWNT analyze the biggest stories of the week and their impact on the Walt Disney Company, its parks, guests, and cast members. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or afterward on the WDW News Today podcast feed.
On every episode of the Ride Rehab podcast, we put ourselves into the shoes of Imagineers. Here's a preview of our most adventurous episode in Adventureland.
And then there was also the zipper. Everyone knows about the zipper.
Everyone knows about the zipper.
The zipper's like this. It was built in the 50s. And it's made out of like clockwork gears.
Even my Planet Coaster guests won't go in the zipper.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's it.
We put a zipper in there?
Absolutely.
A zipper ride.
That's the real adventure, is a broken neck. Part 2 of this episode will come out on the 21st, so we'll see you then.
WDW News Tonight is our weekly comedy show combining the news of the week, comedy segments, thoughtful discussions, insane characters, parody commercials, games, and more. Watch live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and become a Wigs member to get access to a bonus post show. Watch WDW News Tonight episodes anytime and live on YouTube, or get the audio-only version on iTunes and other podcast services.
More so the history of Disney, downtown Disney. Now I can't call it. Now I can't. Now I can't call it.
I think we're back.
I want to call it. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, we are back. Yeah, yeah, we're good. What happened there?
I had some crazy lag, and I was like, it was like I'm looking at the zipper, and then suddenly I'm like, oh my god, everybody's there. Okay, fantastic.
We're back. Yeah, 1 hour show. So we were talking a little bit about the downtown Disney and Pleasure Island and the clubs that were there, and I just wanted to touch a little bit about some of our memories of Disney Quest. And during the break there, I was watching some of the comments come in, and Mandy had a good one. Said, at Disney Quest I got stuck in the make your own roller coaster in the sideways position. You'd think there'd be a panic, but I found it somewhat soothing. Yeah, that's funny. And it's I guess to be sucked sideways is one thing. Upside down might be another totally different weird feeling. But did you guys do that? Make your own roller coaster in Disney Quest at all?
It made me very sick.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, Disney Quest I think was the first thing I ever did at Disney. I call it Disney Springs. That's what I know it as, because I didn't go to Disney until 2016. But I did the make your own roller coaster, and I got very, very ill. So much so that I had to leave Disney Quest because of it. It was the last thing I ever did.
First and
Seriously?
last.
Was
Okay.
it?
Wow, that made a
I needed to go upside down multiple times, and they were like, I don't know if that's a good idea, but what do I do?
You're like, I'm on vacation. Forget it. I can do it. Yeah.
I can do anything.
They
I have dopamine. I'm good.
They might have put a limiter
Dramamine.
on
That's
the
what I meant.
system after
Dramamine.
you. Yeah, Dramamine.
Mhm,
Seriously. I love
Yeah.
that so much. And if you were like with a group of, young teen, I think the first time I had gone there would have been like young teen years. And I mean, like, you're almost able, you're like your own little Imagineer. So just like you said, it's like loop, corkscrew, loop, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, you never get that Imagineering job on LinkedIn after building the roller coasters that I think you and I built, but they were fun.
I'm just reading the chat here. Mandy said, I really like targeting children in Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. They all deserved it. That was it was like a bumper cars thing, I think, or your car would sweep over like balls and pick it up, and then you'd shoot them. Your co-pilot would like shoot them with a cannon. Like that. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. There were a lot of interesting things. And I guess I wished, because when Disney Quest opened, it was so like innovative. It was like, whoa, like VR, and it wasn't like the best VR, but it was VR, and it seemed to be stuff that was a bit ahead of the curve. And that was the whole point. It was like this crazy new, this is what's coming, and I know that was like Epcot was like kind of the future as well, but this was a little bit different. And it's like they just forgot to advance it, and it just got stale, and nothing changed. And
stale, yes. It's so funny that you just said that, though, because especially like in these quarantine or whatever you want to call it, social distancing now, whatever the phrase is this week, that you're totally right. Like I think there was a Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean tomato.
There was
and there was a rafting thing, and you put the giant thing on your head, and now we are lucky enough to have like Oculus Rift, right? And that's how ahead of its time Disney Quest was, and they're just now catching up. Because you're right, the graphics left something to be desired, but still, it was a heck of a try, if you will. So, they're not in the business of losing money, so there had to be a business decision as to why they went more like the front-facing stores eatery route. But I think you're right, man. I mean, it was like kind of taking what Epcot had and just kind of taking it to the next level for at least a few years. I'm with you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think so as well. And I remember that it was a Jungle Cruise, and I think a Pirates of the Caribbean, like a blow-up boat or something. Do you guys remember that, where you sat in like a blow-up boat?
That was the Jungle Cruise one.
Yeah, and you would go side to side, you get splashed a little bit or something. I mean, it was fun. It's just, it always just stayed the same. And yeah, the graphics weren't that great for the VR thing, especially you mentioned Oculus Rift, Oculus Quest, the VR systems they got now. I mean, there's VR systems you can use on your phone now that hook them, put your phone into some goggles. And
I think it was too expensive to try and keep it up to the level that we were getting with in society.
Yeah, that's true. We were,
and it wasn't cheap to get in either. So it's like you got to give the people something for return on investment. But I'm totally with you on that too.
Yeah.
So
shout out to the elevator. Do you remember the elevator with the genie inside? There was like that magic wall. It would go dark, and then the genie would appear. You'd hear sound. You'd see stars, and you'd hear Robin Williams as the genie.
It was one of the first like 3D kind of screens too, man. I mean, they had like
it was right when you walk in.
They used different levels of mapping, and they still make 3D like this in like live productions today, where it's like layer 1, 2, and 3, but they had it in a TV on the elevator. Man, that was wild. Yeah, and again, like I think I had mentioned this in the chat. It was like I think maybe it might have been the right age, right, for me, like young teens and a boy that loved video games. That it was the greatest 5 floors out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mandy was saying the Pirates one was fun, but had to be a maintenance nightmare. Yeah, for sure. People really pulled on those cannons. Yeah, that's right. You pulled the cannons as the game was going on. That's right. Yeah. I mean, it was Disney Quest was a lot of fun. I know it's the NBA experience if you want to start talking springs now, and I don't know. I got nothing on that. It's like,
I want to know what people think of the NBA experience if they have been there since then, because I would say that I think that it is very similar to Disney Quest in some ways, where there's a lot of interactive things that people can do, but it's very niche to only the NBA. And if you enjoy basketball, whereas Disney Quest was good for, so many different different things. Mandy in the chat says it's an experience.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, Mandy. Absolutely.
Well, it was like cast members got in free or something. Like for a while, it was like all cast members get in free. Pat says NBA experience does not draw me in either. Yeah, neither. We got one team up here in Canada, and
who is that benefiting? You know what I mean? I mean, like, so the NBA, they don't have ownership in it. It's like all the ESPN signage around Disney makes sense, right? It's brand synergy.
Yeah. Yep.
So that makes sense to me, I guess, because it's sports. You would almost think something like that would be in Wide World of Sports, but I don't even know that they promote that anymore now that the Braves aren't there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it is the weirdest thing. I mean, I think if it stays, it's because there was some sort of agreement signed that is it's going to stay for a certain amount of time, right?
Sure.
I think that it would maybe have been, maybe more beneficial if they had included other sports, possibly. Like if ESPN is a big thing with Disney, why did they not include football? Why did they not include, other sports? Why wasn't it just the sports experience? But I mean, we'll see how long it lasts, just like other things it springs, right?
I assume, well, in Disney Planning Insights podcast is saying ESPN has such an investment in the NBA, and I totally get that. I mean, there's definitely a symbiotic relationship between a Disney-owned cable property and one of the sports that they are trying to, have a relationship with. You know what I mean? They spend so much money getting football rights, and I don't really know what the deal with basketball is, but it's definitely a longer season, so maybe you would think it does have more appeal. Obviously, I'm assuming the NBA paid to be there. That's all I can assume. So.
Yeah, well, and Michael in the chat just said they just wanted to take it from Universal, take the opportunity from Universal. Could be a thing too, right? I mean, it could be something that might have gone on City Walk or somewhere over there. The NBA should finish the season at Disney. Can you imagine if they played in that small court?
I've heard some things though about ESPN, little rumors. Again, I don't know, don't take this from me, but I've heard rumors about certain sports things happening at ESPN and finishing seasons and things at ESPN. So maybe they're up to something.
Could be a thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's the ESPN zone. No, ESPN zone east was Anaheim, but ESPN Club is at the boardwalk as well. And then they got the radio station there too, right? The ESPN radio station as well in there. I don't know. It's just I'll never go there. If it was free, I might, and I had nothing better to do, I might go there. But what it is now, is zero appeal to me, and I wouldn't. My wife is not interested. My kid wouldn't care. It's just nothing that seems to be. I don't know. It's not fun.
It does seem very niche, right? I mean, the other things.
100%.
We've got the largest Disney store, right? So bam, there's something for everybody there. People love the holidays, so there's a holiday store there. Everybody loves to eat and drink, so there's all the food. And I mean, I would even say, now this is one of my favorite things, outside of Pleasure Island that I had written down. I mean, La Nuba, out of all the Cirque du Soleil shows, I thought was fantastic because I thought it had some of the best acts. You know what I mean? And that maybe even be a little bit niche and not maybe cheap and not up everybody's alley, but it definitely seems a little broader than a niche and be specific sport, specific this, boom, boom, boom. So it does seem oh my God, somebody said, Angelina, you did. It was Angelina said the poutine. That was my favorite food place. Sorry, ADHD.
They were talking about the NBA restaurant at Universal, and I said it had the best poutine in Orlando, and I was so sad that it closed because I couldn't get poutine while I was there.
I think isn't there poutine? Isn't there? Because I know, Chris, we were going to move on to food once again. I was
going to say I know what you're going to say, and I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it.
This is going to upset you, Chris? Like when I was talking about being on the dark side. Outside of the Disney store, do you not like that place at all?
Well, I want to know what Chris and Joel in the chat as well, because I believe Joel is Canadian as well. What do you guys think of the poutine, or maybe other people in the chat that have gone to the poutine restaurant in Disney Springs? What are our thoughts? Because I have some strong ones, but I want to know other people's first.
I mean, oh man, let's just throw this on me now. But I mean, like, you know, here's the thing is that we have some pretty fine poutine places, and yes, we're up here in Canada, so I don't know what's down there is actually poutine. I'm trying to be nice, but that's not nice at all.
I hear you really like choosing your words.
And as a Canadian, I'm also sorry.
To appreciate that. Okay.
Or sorry, or whatever you think we say.
Are going to be. I haven't corrected a few of your words tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's about time you do.
Poutine was. I'm about to call somebody. Okay. All right. Poutine, exactly. Why don't you Canadians explain what poutine is for Pat and Mix75, and we can see if anybody else.
For sure.
Go for it.
Poutine is French fries with beef gravy on top and mozzarella cheese curds. So like chunks of mozzarella cheese that either melts into the fries or don't. Some people in Orlando, I know at Ale House, call it goo fries, which sounds really gross. But it is a delicacy up here in Canada, and I absolutely am obsessed with it. However, the poutine place in Disney Springs uses red wine gravy instead of beef gravy. What is that? I don't understand why we chose that.
I did not know that. And now I just feel like a sucker.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one more question about poutine, Chris, before you desperately
of course. Do it.
I'm curious. So how do they not have poutine at Food and Wine in Canada? I don't think they do. They have some like beef thing and like a seafood thing. There's no
cheese soup
and wine, right?
The bacon and cheddar, or bacon and cheddar soup or something. It's usually I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
I thought they had a poutine.
Maybe it's because they have.
Apologize.
I think it's because they have poutine at Le Cellier, maybe, and so they don't want to.
Possibly.
I've never had the poutine from Le Cellier, but I mean, I could go on and on and on about this, so let's move on.
Okay, all right, we can move. I hope we don't have to do. Hey, if we ever do a Wigs after hours show, maybe it could be a full hour on poutine. More Beverly Blue says they sell poutine at Refreshment Port. I did not know that. Thank you very much, Beverly.
Interesting.
More Beverly. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll do a post show once, and we'll all make poutine live. Something like that.
Okay, that's even better. I know I'm going to get beat on that one. So it's fine.
You might be able to draw, but can you make poutine?
I know. But can you make poutine against two Canadians?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I want to touch on this poll because this has drummed up a little bit of talk throughout the day as well. The poll I'm referencing is on Twitter. At Cosmic Reid, and the question is, if you were in the area of Disney Springs on May 20th, would you go? And of course, May 20th, a couple of days from now on Wednesday, is the partial reopening of Disney Springs. Some restaurants will be back open for business. Would you go? Yes or no are your options. We've left the poll open for 24 hours, so you have another at least 12 hours or so for that, I think. And I'm just going to take a look right now at the update. And the gap narrows again. So with 1,250 votes, it's 53% say no, and 47% say yes. It's been close
all day, and it's gone one way and then the other way and one way. So right now it's no, 53%. Let's talk in the chat as well on YouTube. Will you go to Disney Springs on the 20th? Would you go if you were in the area, if you happen to be there? Guys, what do you think? Jeff, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I see Pat is saying if I was in the area, I would go. I feel like right now, so we've been doing this we've been doing this very thing now, which is crazy for me to think about this for 2 months. When we first started talking about, hey, let's get together on Monday nights and start talking about all the new Disney things. We had no idea we were going to be in the situation that we're in right now. So if Disney Springs opened, I feel like I would have no choice but to at least walk inside really quick and just feel some magic and then maybe leave. I think it's interesting what they're doing. They've got like the subcontractor stores opening on the 20th, which is going to kind of give them like a week to like ramp up. And then I think the 27th is when like
that's
Disney's
the rest of it.
So I think they're trying to just see how it's going. But I have to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know what you guys have heard about Shanghai. I mean, it seems like between capacity and things like that things are going, I think, smoother than I think that I thought it would go. I don't know how that's going to translate to the States, but I want to experience it so bad. Luckily, I'm 7 hours away. I may get in my car. I don't know. Anyways, but that's me. So I would have to go, and I would be mindful. I want to keep my distance from things, but just to be back on property is what I'm looking for.
So I'll go to a couple of YouTube comments here. Joel saying, I would go if the circumstances allow it, but I have responsibilities and I have to think more of other people. It's all about assessing risk and risk management. Totally agree. Some people are saying, yes, they definitely would go. I'm craving a Disney outlet store right now. Yep, no kidding. You know what? And would I go? I might. I would just take those measures into consideration, the whole social distancing or whatever. I would wear a mask, and if I felt uncomfortable at any point, I'd leave. Chances are if I'm down there on May 20th, I'm probably living down there and I can come back anytime. I don't feel the need to be like, oh, I need to have a drink at this place on opening day, because it whatever capacity is going to be for them. Is it restaurants at 25% or something? It's probably going to be a log jam trying to get in. So I don't know if I
my biggest worry, right? I think that would be my biggest worry. Like, are people going to go right at 8 o'clock, or is it going to be staggered out? But there's definitely going to be lines, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like, they were not messing around. Like, Disney was not messing around with like, hey, this is your responsibility and your risk assessment and yada yada. But I mean, they're checking temperatures of everybody going in there. I don't know how they're controlling that capacity. I know only a certain parking lot's going to be open or something like that. One of the garages, and everybody's checking temperatures. So it's going to be interesting to see how it rolls out. But I'm totally with you, man. Their rules, just be respectful to other people is what I would say, and try to live by.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there, Jeff. The Disney Planning Insights podcast says you can only control what you can control. Know that there will be people that don't have the same values as you. So I mean, it's up to what people feel comfortable with. And I would say right now, I'm just gonna watch and see what other people do, and the capacities and what Disney is doing with Disney Springs, because it is very different from a park, right? So if I saw that they were doing things that I was like, yeah, that works, then maybe, in maybe a couple weeks or something like that.
Disney Planning Insights on the YouTube chat said, you can only control what you can control. Know that there will be people that don't have the same values as you. 100%. Yeah. Like, there's not going to be everyone that's on one side or the other. That's why I thought it was fascinating that this was split, like almost to 50%, which was mind-blowing
when you
posted
the poll, because when you texted this morning and you said you were doing this one, what did you think it was going to be? Because I thought it was going to be totally different. I thought it was going to be a blowout.
Blowout on what side?
I thought it was going to be a blowout on the yes. I mean, if anybody's a part of any of like the Disney groups out there, I seems like people are rearing to go. And I mean, just the amount of tickets that sold for Shanghai Disney within minutes. I mean, the demand is there. So I was surprised. I mean, I understand both sides though. You know what I mean? It doesn't surprise me, I guess, now seeing the results, but that's a heck of a lot of votes. I believe more than you've gotten. And I'm curious if you thought it was going to go one way and it didn't.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the poll looks like in like 12 hours from now when it ends. You know, people across the world will be waking up and possibly seeing that poll as well. So it might even shift because it is so close. It's one of those things that if it was an election, you can't go to bed because you don't know who's going to come out on top. I thought it would be more like 75-25. Yeah, actually, if anyone knows any of those people at, like, I don't know, CNN that has all those like big screens and like breaks it down by category and breaks it down by subcategory and sub, wouldn't that be amazing? But anyway, you know, so just people. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. That would be, you know, get one of those analyst guys with the touch screen boards. Didn't they have those at Disney Quest? Isn't that where those started? But
I think they did.
I thought I thought it would be more 75-25 to like yes, no. I'm really kind of mind boggled that it's 50-50 like this. I think it is really cool. And speaking of, so like masks, and they're saying that you have to wear masks, and some people are for it and against it. Look, I get that wearing a mask in the Florida heat, it's gonna suck. I don't want to do that. That's just no way. But if you have to, I guess you have to. If you want to enjoy it, that's the rule. Well, that's the rule we have to abide by right now. I do want to say WDW News Today has like hundreds of these Disney masks. Have you guys seen these? Because they're at WDWNT.com. They are hilarious. There are like the Spaceship Earth one, like the print of Spaceship Earth. There's Test Track ones. There's Tower of Terror ones. There's cast member costumes, a dinosaur cast member costume. There's a Soarin'. There's a monorail one. I could go on and on and on. There's
so many options.
Yeah,
and they're like, if you don't think I have a Haunted Mansion one on my way right now, you're insane.
Do you? Yeah. They got the wallpaper design. Yeah, they are so good. So if anyone's in the YouTube chat, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, thank you so much for joining us. First off, go check them out. And I'm sure some people in the chats here have bought them because yeah, there's somebody said the great Disney mask debate, and bless you, Mandy said she's still looking up poutine recipes.
Yes,
awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot that's in the chat right now. The most important thing, poutine.
yeah. So
you really could do an hour after
masks
show on poutine someday. Yes.
Honestly, we could. Yeah, maybe like during Food and Wine or something this fall, we'll do something like that. I can do that. Something like that.
Okay, which mask would you take? I know we're running out of time. Then, I mean, obviously, I'm Haunted Mansion. I told you immediately.
Yeah, I like the walls. Like, I like the purple wall and the bubblegum wall and the Spaceship Earth one. But the walls are unique to Disney fans. But like everyone else, just think it's like a design that you got. There's nothing really super unique about it. There was one I was looking at. The Star Tours logo, like the triangular Star Tours logo. Pardon me. Looked really cool. Again, subtle but unique and interesting, and really for a niche audience. Angelina, did you see them? What mask would you want to get?
Oh, sorry, I'm so into this poutine talk in the chat. I think that
at least you're honest.
I think that the one that I wanted to get the most would probably be the Spaceship Earth one, because that was my most favorite attraction that I ever worked on. But I do think, it's similar to like the bubblegum wall, where it's just, it looks like I have a Spaceship Earth backpack and people are always like, oh, that's cool triangles. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Yeah. Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
But I would know what it is, and that's all that matters. So that would be
I love those things, Angelina. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite little, like the Disney things that are not just a giant Mickey, or like exactly what you're talking about. Like those triangles. Like I had a friend get me a Living with the like the Land shirt. Like it's my most favorite shirt to wear there, because people are like, where did you get that? But only like 3 of them who are passionate about the land. You know what I mean? Like the people who get it appreciate it so much, man. And I think I'm like a Disney Plus fan. You've got to be a Disney theme park fan and a lover of like the legacy. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, oh, that's awesome.
There it is on my arm. I'm not sure if the camera froze or not, but I do have the wallpaper design right on my arm, and that's really funny because some people that I've ran into is Atlanta have the Coca-Cola experience or something? Yeah, so we did that a couple of years ago when we were there, and we were in line to get a photo op with the bear, and the photographer afterwards. I know, it was one day a couple years ago. Anyway, next time, because our friend lives in Nashville, so it's really close. We're getting a picture with the Coke bear, and the photographer was like, I just got to ask her, and she could see half of its tattoo sticking out. She's like, is that the Haunted Mansion tattoo? I'm like, yes. Like, so when like you have the Spaceship Earth backpack, or you have a hat or a shirt or a mask or a tattoo that is very niche to the parks, but then some people go like pick up on it, and it's like you're almost instant buddies with these people, right? Like, and it had nothing to do with Disney. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes me feel so good about Atlanta. Thank you for that, Chris. I'm so glad I didn't see you on that trip. Anyways, go on.
I guess I don't know. I don't know how that didn't work out. But
I do. I'm on the road like 40 weeks a year back pre-COVID-19. So maybe that's what happened, but that's okay.
Perfect. Well, okay. So let's talk about next week's show before we wrap it up. I want to start this series, so it won't be focused on Disney Springs. It's going to be kind of adding something to the park. We're going to focus next week on the Magic Kingdom, and we're each going to go round table, and we have to pick our own attraction, restaurant, character meet and greet, and show that you'd put in Magic Kingdom. And it can't be anything from like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. It could be like a Mr. Toad roller coaster or something like that, but you can't bring something back that was there. You can't bring something like, 20,000 Leagues back into it. Like, that doesn't count. You have to completely invent an attraction, a restaurant, a meet and greet, and a show. So we'll go round table and discuss that next week. Yeah, we'll do each park eventually kind of over time, but I thought that'll be a fun one. We can engage with a lot of people here on YouTube.
And you have to draw
you have to do an artist rendering of your attraction. We'll talk in the week. I like that idea. Pat was saying about the masks. Can we get one with Tom Corliss on it? I'd probably wear it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
You know what?
We'll get on it.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. It's been another fun week, guys. Anything left before we wrap this up?
I could go all evening, but just as it always is, thank you so much for bringing a little bit of joy and magic into my heart. I love everybody that comes and does this every week on the chat room, man. It's just gives me hope in humanity. How about that?
It's been
those
fun.
Monday blues have definitely gone away, I would say now.
Totally. Yeah. Hopefully this starts to become
tonight.
Yeah. Go make a poutine. Do whatever you got to do. If you are going to Disney Springs, let us know how it went next week. Stay safe and do all the social distancing and all that kind of good stuff. It's going to be a fun time next week. Create your own stuff for Magic Kingdom. Join us right here 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, and of course mixed with music from WDWN Tunes, our radio station at WDW News Today. For Jeff and Angelina, I'm Cosmic Chris Reid. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Have a magical night, and we'll see you real soon.